So, what if you could actually upgrade the entire digital universe? That's the absolutely incredible promise of this new AI tool called Puffin. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how it's taking what was science fiction and making it a reality for developers right now.
You remember the 90s, right? That was when you could have one master coder who knew an entire application, every single line, right in their head. We call that tribal knowledge. But fast forward to today, and you can see we are in a completely different world. Codebases now are so gigantic, so complex, that the idea of one person knowing it all is it's a fantasy. We've moved into an era that absolutely requires AI-driven instant context.
And really, this is the deep down pain point for pretty much every modern developer. You get dropped into a project that's been around for years, it's sprawling, it's massive, and you're trying to figure out code written by people who don't even work there anymore. It is, like this says, completely impossible for any one person to hold that entire map in their head.
But here's the game changer. An AI, in this case Claude, it doesn't have that human limitation. It can just absorb the entire history, the structure, the little nuances of a code base, like instantly. It gets a level of context that we just couldn't even imagine before. And this new reality, that's what Puffin has built.
Okay, so you have this incredibly powerful AI. How do you actually harness that without it just, spitting out a total mess? Well, you need a system, a really precise one. And that's exactly where the Puffin workflow comes in. It's all about creating this perfect partnership between the human and the AI. And here's what that looks like. It's actually a brilliant little dance. See, it starts with the human, right? You define the big picture, the specification. Then Claude, the AI, takes that spec and breaks it all down into these manageable user stories. Then it's back to you, the human, to make the next big strategic choice. You pick the sprint. And once you've done that, Claude takes over again to build out the super detailed technical plan.
So the key takeaway here is this beautiful division of labor. The human is the strategist, the architect with the vision. The AI, it's the master builder, the one handling all the complex, nitty-gritty execution. You get to steer the ship, and the AI keeps the engine room running at full power.
Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. Great. Another tool that just generates a mountain of code, and then you just cross your fingers and hope for the best. But that is not what's happening here. Puffin is built on a totally different philosophy. It's about reflection and control. It's the exact opposite of generate and pray.
So how does it stop things from going completely off the rails? Well, one of the key guardrails is something called inspection assertions. This is so smart. Claude doesn't just write the code, it also creates these automatic checkpoints. So as the code is being built, these little assertions are constantly checking. Are we sticking to the original plan? It's like having quality control built right into the process from the start.
And then, after all the work is done, you go into what's called the reflection phase. This is the last, super critical code review. And it's designed to catch all those tiny, subtle details that always seem to get lost when you're stuck in those endless fix-it, try-again loops. It's that final check to make absolutely sure that what you built is a perfect match for the original blueprint. Okay, so that's the core workflow and the quality control, which is all very impressive. But now we get to the part where things just get completely wild. I mean, even if you're not ready to have an AI write your production code, its power as a debugging partner is straight out of science fiction.
So let's just imagine the classic developer nightmare, right? You've run the code, you've built the feature, but something is just wrong. The user interface is a total mess. Buttons aren't working, the layout is all jumbled. What do you even do? Where do you possibly start looking in a million lines of code?
This is the magic moment. Instead of spending hours, maybe days, digging through endless files, you just take a screenshot of the broken UI. You just show it to Claude right inside Puffin and say, hey, help me understand why this is happening. And just boom, it tells you what the problem is and how to fix it.
I love this metaphor because it just frames the leap perfectly. You know the old way of debugging a huge code base? It was like trying to find your way around a foreign country when all you have is a dictionary. But with Puffin, it's like having a picture of exactly where you want to go. You don't have to speak the language, you just point, and the AI totally gets it.
Yeah, it completely transforms the experience. You're no longer trying to decipher a confusing map. Instead, you have a telepathic guide. Claude is like the local who's lived in the city of code for 100 years. It sees exactly where you're pointing, it understands the context of everything around it instantly, and it walks you right to where you need to be.
This ability to visually debug and build things,
It has a parallel that I think a lot of us can understand, even if we're not developers. The creators call it the Excel power user moment.
Think about someone who's amazing at Excel. They don't need to have every single function memorized. They can just look at a broken formula, see the input data, see the result they want, and they just know what's wrong. Puffin basically does that. It turns every developer into that kind of power user, but for the entire world of software. And the implication here is, well, it's profound. Every feature, every interface, every single piece of code you can see on your screen is now effectively open source. The tribal knowledge that was locked away in the original developer's head is now available to anyone who can see it.
And that brings us to Puffin's incredible tagline, which is a clever play on the AI's name, Claude. If you can see it, you can clone it. What that means is, if you can see a feature in any application, you now have the power to ask an AI to understand it, to replicate it, or even to change it. The barrier to entry for creation has just been completely shattered.
So what does this all add up to? Well, the team behind Puffin isn't trying to just build another developer tool. They really believe they are fundamentally upgrading our universe by changing the way we interact with this incredibly complex digital world that we've all built.
We are really witnessing that moment where the wildest dreams of developers are just becoming a part of their daily reality. Puffin isn't just promising science fiction anymore, it is actually delivering it one line of code at a time.